Hi, my name's Kate, and I knit a bit. Welcome back to another podcast episode. This is episode 3, so we've officially made it a series. Congrats to us. In this episode, I want to talk about all of my knitting throughout the month of April. Following a typical podcast format, I'll start with finished objects. This month there's only one, but I think it's a pretty big and exciting one. It's what I'm wearing. This is the Lumme pullover by Sari Nordland, and this is my first colorwork garment. She's done. Past just stripes, this is my first colorwork garment. This is a stranded colorwork circular yoke sweater, and overall thoughts, colorwork's fun. I think I talked in my last podcast about how I don't knit stranded colorwork in the most efficient way possible. Frankly, I don't care. I'm okay with being a little bit slower because I think my tension ended up being pretty consistent, pretty even. So that's a trade-off that I think is worth it in my books. And I found it really rhythmic and satisfying to work through the colorwork chart and watch it grow. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm really happy with how my colorwork turned out. I think the only note on the sweater right now is maybe some observations on the fit of a circular yoke. In one of Andrea Mowry's recent podcast episodes, she had been answering a question about a circular yoke and the fit. And if I remember correctly, she had talked about the fabric kind of bunching along the front and how the solution for that is to change where you place the sleeves further forward or further back, so that you don't have an even number of stitches on the front and the back. You have more stitches on one side versus the other to change how much fabric is on either side. And I think that might be my problem because I have been noticing as I move around, the fabric does want to kind of just bunch along my collarbone a little bit. So I think I might be able to fix that in the future circular yoke sweaters by just moving the sleeves. I might play around with that, but on this sweater, it's my first circular yoke. It's allowed to have some flaws. That's fine. It does not hinder the experience of wearing it that much, in my opinion. I still love the sweater, still love wearing it. It's allowed to be just a tiny bit fussy because I'm learning. One thing about this sweater in particular that I do really, really love is that Sari Nordland adds a second section of short rows at the bottom of the body just before you start the hem, so that the back of the sweater goes just a touch longer than the front. And this is the first sweater that I've made where I didn't feel like the back of the sweater ended up a tiny bit shorter than I expected. I feel like it actually feels long enough. That is probably a detail that I will start adding to other sweaters, even if it's not in the pattern. I'll probably refer back to this one to add that in because I really, really love what that did for the fit of the sweater for me. This sweater was knit up in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in their worsted weight yarn. This is in the colors Garnet Heather and White, and I am very happy to report that the red yarn did not bleed into the white yarn when I blocked it. I used color catchers and cold water and all that jazz and did not have any bleeding, which was a big fear. So we escaped that one, which makes me happy. Overall, I am absolutely thrilled with my first colorwork garment, and I'm really excited to make more, although I will acknowledge it does take a little bit more brain power and focus. And I think I'm realizing I just really like my knitting to be mindless. So I do a lot of just basic stockinette stitch because I can kind of turn my brain off. It is that fluid motion, something for my hands to do while I'm watching a movie or something. So a lot of my knitting might look really boring because I prefer that, but it's nice to sprinkle in some interest every now and then, and I think colorwork will be a really fun way for me to do that. Only the one finished object for this month, but I believe I have 5 works in progress this month. And if I remember correctly, I said in my first podcast episode that I was afraid this might be my norm, and I think we're still proving that. Now, despite 5 projects seeming to be my norm, I do feel like it might be a little bit more than I actually want to have, because I don't feel like I'm giving all of these projects my attention, at least not as much as I would like to be. So I think I need to get a couple of them done, try and bring that number down, maybe keep 3 projects going at a time. Let's make that a goal. Let's see if I can accomplish that. How strong is my will when it comes to not casting things on? That's the question. The first work in progress is my Olga sweater by Petite Knit. It's obviously still tethered. I have not made any progress this month. Literally never picked it up. So I actually took the needles off of it because I needed the needles for something else. That's how little I was working on this. So it looks exactly the same as before, still just the back panel and nothing more. I'll work on it eventually. I just have some other priorities. That one is knit up in Knit Picks palette in the colors Bark and Oyster. And I'll talk more about that when I work on it again. Sorry. The next project is my Gress Tank by Rebecca Clow. And this one also has not a lot of progress, but some. We finished the initial back panel. The next step is to pick up along the shoulders so that I can knit the front shoulders, join for the neckline, knit the front panel, then join in the round to knit the body. So that's where we're at on this one. This one went on the back burner as well a little bit because I have a test knit that I need to finish, which I'll talk about next. But as soon as that's done, then this one will be top priority because this is for a friend and I don't want to make her wait too long. I want her to actually be able to wear this in the correct season. This one is knit out of Knit Picks Cotton, their cotton linen blend. This is in the color Gosling, and I think it's turning out really cool. I really like how the fabric feels. The yarn feels really soft, really nice, and I think it's looking great. I'm excited to work on it again as soon as that test knit is done. If I could work on this right now, if I had the bandwidth for it, I would absolutely be, but alas. So this one will get its moment in the spotlight very soon. As a reminder, that is my second Gress tank. I have knit it once before for myself in black. I'll talk about that in my Everything I Knit in 2025 video, so you can see more info there if you want to. Otherwise, we're moving on. The next project is the test knit I was talking about, and this is what we have so far. This is the Bookish Slipover test knit for Devin King, or Aggie Knits on Instagram, and it's just a V-neck vest slipover. And we're making good progress, but the deadline is in, I want to say like 2 weeks. So I need to knit the armholes and the rest of the body, which I still have several inches to go on that before I can do the ribbing on the body. So we are chugging along, we're making good progress, and this would have gone a lot better if my yarn arrived earlier. That's the biggest struggle we're running into here. My yarn took a little bit. All of my garments right now are very Knit Picks heavy. So this one is also Knit Picks palette in the color Pimento, holding that double. And I'm really loving it so far. I love the color. I think it's super fun. So hopefully the rest of the test knit goes well. It's been going smooth thus far. And yeah, I learned a new technique for binding off folded over collars. So that was fun. Literally did that last night. And gonna pick up one of the armholes today and get that going. Next is my first sock project this month, and this is just a simple pair of vanilla socks with some little hearts added in. And the hearts, I used the Summer Lee's Cuff Club Volume 1, the February chart, just to get that heart motif. And this is knit out of Arcane Fiberworks in the color Siren Song for that main color. And then the contrast color at the cuff, the color work, little contrast heel. That is all a Knit Picks Stroll mini skein in some color that I could not find the name of. Apologies. It's in one of their mini skein multi-packs. And I've been having a lot of fun with this. It's knitting up really well. I am playing a little bit of Yarn Chicken with the mini skein because I'm planning on doing a second set of hearts right before the toe and then a contrast toe. And I'm weighing the skein after each section that I do to try and make sure that I'll have enough, but maybe it was a little bold of me to do the color work as well on my very first pair with the contrast, like heel and toe and everything. But I really want it. So we're gonna try and just see, and if I don't have enough yarn, I will go back, take out the second set of hearts before the toe and just make that plain, and then we'll only have the hearts along the top. This entire pair of socks was just me kind of playing around and trying different things. It's not perfect, but I am having fun with it. I think it's been a good time. I don't know. You can see I do have stitch markers going down the back of the sock just to keep track of how many rows for the leg and the foot so that the second sock can match it. That's just been my easiest method to do that, make sure they're consistent. The first several pairs of socks I knit, they were maybe a tiny bit uneven because I was just eyeballing it. I would just kind of lay the socks next to each other and go, yeah, that looks right. So this is a little bit more methodical. I am knitting these socks with magic loop. So I have the long cable here, and that is proving to be the tiniest bit of a problem because of my next pair of socks. So the last project on my needles right now is another pair of socks, and these are another pair of vanilla socks, but super, super fun colors. This is a Zauberball in the colorway Garden Party. I don't remember if this is the crazy ball or not. This is the 100-gram ball. That's all I know. And I've been really, really loving using it. I've learned that the ball of yarn is a really great way to have a purse project because my purse just kind of pops open. It has like one snap at the top, so I can just unsnap it and just pull from my purse. And I don't know, it doesn't seem to try to like fly out of my purse or anything like that. So it just works really well. And then I'm knitting these ones using my short circular needles. So that also is proving to be really nice for a purse project because I don't have to try to fuss with the cable to get everything to sit in my purse nicely. I just pop this needle stopper on the 2 needle tips and then just drop it in my purse and move on. So I did talk about the short circulars in my second podcast episode, the most recent one. And at that point, I had finished my puffy check socks and had some mixed feelings about the short circulars. I was very unsure about them. So we've given them another try, and I am a lot more used to them, finding them a lot more comfortable. And I think I might really like them now. So that's good. I was really hopeful, and I'm glad to report it is going really well now. I feel like I can really get a rhythm and just kind of keep trucking along with these, which is really nice. And again, they're really, really good for travel because they take up so little space. So yeah, I'm calling these my Garden Party socks just because of the colorway. And I started these because we were doing like a little weekend trip where we were going to be away from home, and I really wanted a simple project I didn't have to think about. And somehow none of my projects were that. So the Olga was too many balls of yarn, and the Gress didn't want to think about the lace work and mess that up. Didn't want to tread there. My test knit was in the middle of the collar, the neckband. Didn't want to mess that up. It's a test knit. I want to make sure I'm really reading the pattern thoroughly. Playing yarn chicken with the first pair of socks. Didn't want to have to bring a scale and the 2 balls of yarn. So I just grabbed the Zauberball and started that so that it was just the 1 ball of yarn and no thoughts. So I did do the stitch markers down the sock again just to keep track of how many stitches so that the second one can match in length. It will not match in color because I don't think there's any color sequence repeating throughout the ball of yarn. And let's see, do I have any notes? Only other note on this is this sock would be done if it weren't for magic loop because I'm ready to start the toe. And my understanding is that with short circulars, you cannot knit the toe on the short circulars. You need to switch to DPNs, which I don't have, or magic loop, which is currently occupied by the other sock. So I'm trying now to switch to that sock, get that finished, but this is so close to completed that this is all I want to work on. I want to just, the first sock is close to completion. I still have to knit the entire second one, but this one's almost done, so I want to get it done so I can say that it's whole, but it's not, so here we are. It's just in purgatory waiting for me to finish the other sock so I can use the needles to finish it. Maybe this will get me to stop knitting 2 pairs of socks at the same time, go down to just 1, so that my magic loop needles can be just available when I need them for things like the toes. But as I kind of said earlier in the video, my will is not that strong when it comes to saying no to spontaneous cast-ons. So we'll see what I do in the future. Probably I'll just keep knitting 2 pairs of socks because I can't stop myself, but who knows? Also, maybe I'll learn and grow. We've gotten through all of the works in progress, so I'll just touch quickly on acquisitions and plans. Nothing too crazy in terms of acquisitions this month. I did get 2 skeins of sock yarn at my local yarn store, so these are them. I think they're beautiful and fun. These are Malabrigo sock yarn. This is in the color 457, and this one is Embery Fiber. This one is in the color Pacific Pine or Foraging Woods. I don't know, it says both. And this one it's Embery Soft Sock. So it's 80% superwash merino, 10% yak, and 10% mulberry silk. So super excited for this one because it's gonna be my first time. Well, this one is my first sock yarn without nylon. This is just 100% superwash merino. So I'm excited to give that a try, see how that goes. And then this one will be my first one with the yak and silk. I've never done that before. So these both will have something new to them for me. And I think they'll just be some fun little socks. Then upcoming plans, immediate plan is just get that test knit done. I want to get that completed before the deadline, get all my notes sent over to Devin for that. Once that's done, pivot back to the grass tank, get that completed for my friend, and then we'll just have to see where we're at in terms of weather, if I want to touch the Olga and a whole sweater, or if I need a break from that. The socks will continue to happen. I'm very much in a sock knitting mood, having a lot of fun with that. So that will keep happening. And the next project I want to cast on is the Surrey shirt by Kadri, I believe. I already have some black cotton yarn ready for that. I believe I talked about it in my last podcast. And so I'm excited to get that one cast on and started. But it has to wait until a couple of these get done. The test knit, the bookish slipover, and the grass tank both need to be completed before I'm allowed to cast on anything new. That's a hard rule I'm setting for myself right now, and I'm sticking to it. That is everything for this podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know down in the comments what you've been working on, what you plan on casting on this spring and summer. I'd love to hear about it, and I'll see you next time. Bye. So many needles in here. 8, 7. My brain is going blank. Whoop. This can't be right. I don't know. Oh. Right.